Hello everybody, and welcome to the rocker arm drawing as videotape from the same exact PDF drawing that you had manually drawn this up a week ago. What I want to do is I want to start with a blank slate, and I want to introduce that very drawing in the order of operations that we're going to follow here. So what I'm going to do is start out by referencing that very image. And I'm going to assume that you have your dual monitors active and that you're pulling up that PDF file that depicts that same rocker arm that we drew on the board. And take a couple moments just to get there, and we'll then pick up with that very image. Now the image, as you recall, looks something like this. As I reference the dimensions moving forward, just know that this is on my separate screen. Alright, so let me move this off and get back to the drawing at hand. So what we want to do is we want to start out with two diameters at the extremes. If you notice that the leftmost portion of the drawing, there's two diameters. One is a 1-inch diameter hole, and the other one is a radius of 1 inch. Those are concentric circles that we can start right out by drawing. And what I typically do is I typically draw in my first quadrant to the positive in the X and the Y axis. So let's go ahead and get started. I know my center radius as my boss, so I'm going to screen pick. Under the circle command, you see a center radius, center diameter. We know our center radius in the case of the 2-inch boss, and we know our center 1-inch diameter in the case of the hole. So I'm going to define them as such. Center radius, click to achieve that command under the draw command, and then I'm just going to screen pick here, and I'm going to pull out from center, and I'm going to type 1 inch. That's my radius. And if you're not sure, just double click the image after you create it, and you'll see the diameter show up as 2 inches. Now concentrically, I want to create another diameter on center. If you notice, when I hover with the same circle command, only one down, center diameter as opposed to center radius, if I hover over the center of the existing circle, you see that it picks up on a center mark. If you don't have that, go down to your status bar and you'll see a blue square. These are all your snap object options. Hit the down arrow and make sure that center is clicked there. All these that are checked are ones that I can snap to off existing geometry. Then go back to drawing, come out, 1-inch diameter, and you've got your leftmost portion of the drawing. Now if you notice while I'm at it, why not just copy a 1-inch diameter to represent this right-hand boss to mirror that of this image shown here. They are 4.7 inches across. Now I can introduce a copy command by taking the existing 1-inch circle and copying it down 4.7 inches. The way you do that is you could select the item, select copy. Once again, find my base point is that of my center mark, band to the right. Now if you don't see a green dotted line, hit the F8 key and you should see, not a green dotted line, a yellow dotted line that holds steady as east. And then hit the tab key and you'll see that second point. That is an incremental value that you can punch in as 4.7. And you have now just created, and if you're not certain, go up to the measure command under utilities and do a distance from center to center. You should see it come up as 4.7 inches. Good. Now escape out of that and let's move on. Since I've established my bosses at both ends, why not just draw horizontal lines, all 4 horizontal lines to represent this part. The way you can do that is by picking on a quadrant point here, here, and then offsetting ½ inch in these 2 directions. And I'm going to draw these lines marginally far. I don't know how far, but here again, go to the draw, above the draw command, hit the line, and come down to the blue square object snaps and make sure that you have quadrant checked, because I want to actually hit on this quadrant point and then band right. Hit enter, hit the command again, come down to the bottom of that circle, and you don't have to band so far, maybe, and then type 1.5, because you know this line is 1.5 inches long. And the way you know that is right off the drawing. So you notice I drew this line some arbitrary distance. This one I drew by picking that quadrant point, and I came over to this point by just typing in 1.5. And then hitting enter. Or escape, whichever the case may be. Now, notice I have a ½ inch here to get this leg, and I have a ½ inch between these 2 lines. The reason I know this is a ½ inch is because I swing a 1-inch radius off this point and a 1.5 off that same point. If you swing those 2 arcs to where they become tangent, you'll notice that this ½ inch is constant across that rocker arm. So simply put, that is, just as it sounds, the offset command. So go above modify and see that little camel hump right there? If you hover over it, you should see it indicate offset. Just click that. Click it again. There it goes. And now look below. In the command line, always follow the command line down here for your prompts. It's asking me for an offset distance. Type 0.5. Enter. Now select the 2 lines in question, and when you select it, it wants you to hover with your mouse up or down, depending on which way you want to offset in the direction of. You want to go down, and then select this one and go up. And now you've just completed basically everything that makes up the geometry of this part, except for this inside boundary and these 2 arcs. Now, let's take care of this line next, and then we'll tackle the remaining fillets or radii. We know that this is a ½ inch leg here. We know where this point is, and we know where these 2 lines are now. What's to say I offset from? What's to say I don't draw a line up ½ inch here and a ½ inch over and 1 inch up? Could I not do that? Sure I can, because I know right where this point is. And we know how to draw point to point. So go up to your draw command, hit line, hit it again, hover over that end point until it actually shows up as a green square and you see end point. Come up. You know that that's a ½ inch. Close that boundary out. Come over, 0.5. Come up 1 inch. Now you see I have lines over lines right here, so I can get rid of that one. And you're starting to see this part come to shape. Don't worry that you have overlapping lines, arcs, so forth. That'll all get cleaned up at the end when we execute a trim command. What I want to do next is I want to swing this 1 inch radius tangent between this existing arc diameter here and this line right here. And the way you do that is with the what's called the fillet command. So if I hover over the fillet command, you notice that it basically takes 2 sharp edges that make 2 edges that make a corner and blends them. So click that and then come down here. Every time you're going to have to do this. Before you select the first and second object, you have to click the radius and then type in your value. And that is, again, 1 inch. So type 1, enter, and then click here and here. And you'll see this radius come to fruition. Now that I've created that, I know where the center point is. I can create a circle off of that same center point, concentric, with a radius of 1.5 to put my last arc on. And the way you do that is with a circle command, with a center and a radius. Hover until you get the center point, and then type 1.5. There you have it. Now that everything is drawn in, we need to include these two 1/4 inch fillets. And the way that you do that, you remember when we drew this on the board, we had a circle template, so we had to round this off to 0.25. We're going to make it 0.24. Again, fillet command, radius, 0.24, enter, select, enter. To execute the command again, select. Now you're almost done. We'll get into dimensioning it on a separate occasion. But right now what I want to do is I want to clean up with the trim command to where it represents this hardline drawing. Put a couple center marks on it with a center line and you're good. The way you do that is encapsulate the whole drawing. You can go from right to left or left to right and just put a window on it by selecting once with the mouse button, dragging, and selecting again. Everything is highlighted, and then hit the trim command. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate everything but what we want to keep. Just like so. Till you get to this point, and then what? Hit enter, select that arc, hit the delete key or the erase. And doesn't that look great? Looks just like that, doesn't it? Now, last thing. Go ahead to the annotate command and hit a center mark and grab the outside diameter, center mark again, and a center line. And I'm going to pick symmetry between these two lines, and then I've got my center mark that I can drag and then pick on the arrows, basically complete this drawing. You've now completed the rocker arm. Great job. What we'll do later is we'll incorporate this on our template and we'll dimension it and plot it out. At this point, please follow through on completing the rocker arm as you just saw it. Thank you. And if you have any questions, by all means let me know.